The elevator just cares about the weight. It doesn't care about your personality or your character or the things that you love or hate, and if you're married or not. The elevator looks at you as an 80-kilogram object, and it says, yes, I can only carry 6 of these 80-kilogram objects. I apologize. I don't mean to insult all of us on the planet, all 8 billions of us. Oh, I wonder, do you have a crystal ball at home? You're asking what? A crystal ball. You know, something that when you put your both hands on it, there is a glow inside, and it will predict the future. It will show you the events before they take place. No, you don't have any? Oh, that's a pity, because here at IELTS Juice, we're going to assess an essay about predicting the future. And without a crystal ball, it will be very, very difficult. But okay, hopefully you're ready. Welcome to IELTS Juice. So the question says, in the future, more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad on holiday. So the clear path here is this will happen all in the future. So we are going to just predict what will happen in the future. And this is divided into 2 parts. Having fun, going on holiday inside your own country, or having fun and going on holiday abroad, outside your country. All right? The question that the essay type dictates your own opinion. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? And basically what it means is that IELTS wants or cares about your opinion. That's it. We don't care about any other people's opinions. If you want to state other people's opinions, sure. But remember, you cannot just say, yeah, look at this guy, look at Jim. Yeah, this is his opinion. You cannot do that. You need to, if you're going to state another person's opinion, you need to make sure why you're telling us that. And you also need to make sure that guy's opinion will, in the end, contribute to your opinion and will justify your opinion. So the other people's opinion will help you promote your own opinion. That's key. So don't look at this in a democratic way and say, yeah, there are other people's opinion. Look at him, look at her. Come on, we all have these opinions, and I am one of them. That doesn't work in this particular essay type. IELTS cares about your opinion. Whatever you say, just make sure in the end they will contribute to your opinion. That's the key. Moving on to the candidate's response. Okay. In the future, I need a comma before the subject. This is the subject of the following sentence. Normally, a sentence starts with a subject in English, but if a sentence doesn't start with a subject, you put this adverb or adverbial phrase before that just come before the subject, and you end it with a comma, and then you carry on with your sentence. People would go, okay, would is also a good alternative for will. It's less likely, it's less powerful for future, but it is still a good fit. Would go for having holiday in their own territory. Go for may not be the best word here, because you go for something when you want to achieve it. I feel like you want to run, and there is a referee standing next to you and looking at his or her watch and acts like this. 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, go for it. You can do it. That attitude doesn't fit here. So usually go on holiday. That's the easy part. You go on a vacation, you go on a trip. In this case, because we actually really need to go on a trip, either inside the country or outside. But you go on a trip, you don't stay at home. It's not staycation, if you know the word. It is a genuine vacation. So don't use these structures in such a context. It doesn't fit here. In their own territory is a good word, rather than visiting abroad on holiday. I don't agree with this view. And okay, I don't need I because the subject remains the same. So get rid of this and it will be fine. I don't agree with this view and will outline my reasons in this essay. Outline is a good word. Very nice thesis statement, short to the point. The writer clearly says that he or she disagrees and more people will travel abroad. They will not stay in their own countries. Good, let's see what the reasons are. On the one hand, people would like to visit foreign countries on holiday because the cost for doing it would be low. That's a good term. So let's focus on the cost. The first reason, cost. This is going to be an interesting topic because normally in this day and age, if you want to travel inside your own country, is generally cheaper, generally, not always, generally cheaper than the time when you decide to travel abroad. So that's something interesting to know. And let's see how the writer will pull it off, how the writer will be able to answer that. This is because there would have more companies. This is because there would be more companies which would offer reasonable ticket prices, countable, generalized, on holiday. Really? I'm beginning to suspect that you actually have a crystal ball hidden somewhere in your house, because you cannot take a crystal ball to an IELTS test. So yeah, no, really, these companies are going to reduce the price on holiday? Maybe. That happens. That happens. Let's continue. These companies are going to, good future grammar, grab the market. Yeah, you don't. Market is not a basketball. It's not, or a baseball that you grab it. You take the market from others. It's like they don't let go, but you take it from them. And that's not a good word here. Although take and grab may have the same meaning, this word is not a good fit here. Thus, they would have to, all right, I need correct punctuation here. I need a semicolon before thus, and this comma is correct. You might ask why? Because look at thus as a connector. Before it, we have a sentence-like structure. After that, we also have a sentence-like structure. A sentence-like structure, it means it is a clause. You have a subject and a verb. And commas cannot join two sentences. That is an error called comma splice. So to avoid that, semicolons come in the way, and it means you want to tell the reader, me, that the message is not yet delivered. Wait for it. It's not the end of the sentence. It may look like a finished sentence, but it's not. You need to read the following sentence to get the full picture. So I will read it continuously. That, the punctuation mark you use is not for beautification. It's not to make things beautiful. It actually is to communicate with your reader. And that semicolon will tell me, the reader, to read on, to continue reading. They would have to reduce the cost of tickets. They would have to reduce the cost of tickets. This might create a little bit of confusion. You can say they might consider reducing the cost of tickets, something like that, instead of would have, because that may have other functions, or it can give me some other meanings. In addition, the cost of accommodation in other countries would be reduced. Oh, the first one was ticket prices. The second one is about accommodations cost. As these, why do we have an ellipsis here? Give me a second. Okay. I had to check our archives and see the original handwritten response. Yes, it was a handwritten response submitted to the IELTS Juice system, and my colleague marked it as illegible, meaning my colleague wasn't able to read what's been written there. That brings up an interesting topic to discuss. Let me tell you something closely. Look, when we write and submit our essays, letters, reports, doesn't matter, whatever, a written format, on paper, so I'm addressing those who are taking IELTS on paper, that paper will be assessed by a total stranger, somebody you've never met in your life before. And this person might even be living in a totally different hemisphere on the planet. You might be in the northern hemisphere, and this person is in Australia, in the southern hemisphere. Now, why I'm saying these, I'm telling you that when you write, it's very important that what you write is legible. Other people can read. A total stranger will look at it and understand what's written here. I have seen multiple cases that we struggled to read the work, and the candidate sadly lost the mark. And you know what the worst part is? You finish the exam, and in your mind, you believe that, yeah, I answered the question perfectly. I didn't miss out anything. It asked my opinion. I gave it my opinion. I gave 2 reasons to submit. I gave examples. I feel confident. I ended it with a beautiful conclusion. I used beautiful vocabulary and grammar. I'm done with IELTS. And yet, after 2 weeks, when you receive your TRF and you look at your writing response, it's a lot lower than what you expected it to be. Why? Because of one word was written and my colleague wasn't able to properly read and understand what the word is. So it confuses the reader. You might get 5 in grammar, 5 in vocabulary, bam. You lost a lot of marks. Your 7 is now all of a sudden a 6. Your 6 is now a 5 or a 5.5. So this is serious. Now, let's go back to the assessment. Where was I? The ellipsis. Okay. As these countries around the world have financial problems, I don't need this. I can simply replace all of it by which will continue in the future. It sounds weird to use present progressive. I know you're trying to flex your grammar muscles and say, I know future progressive or future continuous. Yes, future simple would do the job just right. You don't need anything extra. Nations would have a tendency to absorb tourists. Okay, this full stop should come right after this, but that's not an error. And we don't absorb tourists. It's like you don't recruit tourists or you don't employ tourists. You attract tourists, yes. And the difference is that you don't pay tourists to come to your country. You actually make your country so beautiful and welcoming. Others are willing to pay to you to go there and visit the place. So nations will have a tendency to attract tourists. For this, they have decided to accommodate travelers. They have decided. Present perfect. I can justify maybe it's a plan. They have been working on it so far. I'm going to look at it favorably. They have decided to accommodate travelers at minimum cost. Something like Airbnb. So you open your house doors and you let people come in. This strategy leads to having more passengers who would like to spend their time abroad. Abroad is an adverb. You need to delete this. Abroad is not a noun, is not a name of a place. You can go to a foreign country, but you cannot say, I go to, and then there's a place you put abroad inside it. That doesn't work. You just go abroad. Abroad is an adverb. What's more, some individuals will choose to live, same issue, abroad. Because of this issue, comma, this is the subject. They would like to visit another country on holiday to examine living conditions, life conditions there. I don't need that. As a result, individuals prefer to travel abroad rather than be in their own country, just to match the word travel. Be. All right. I received in this paragraph a lot of sentences, bold claims. Accurate, yes. Do we have details? No. Do we have examples? No. We just talk about facts and we just state the obvious. In this case, it wasn't so obvious, so I also struggled to understand in certain areas what the message or what message the writer wants me to understand. I struggled a bit. It doesn't mean I got confused, but I struggled to understand. It wasn't smooth and natural. But I understood the framework. So cost is one of the issues, and there are plans to reduce the cost of accommodation and the cost of trips, like flight tickets. But I wish we had at least one example each or two examples altogether. And I didn't find any examples there. Moving on to the second body paragraph. On the other hand, some persons is not the plural of person. Technically, yes, but it doesn't mean people. Persons is a legal term, or it's about looking at people as objects. Like when you are in an elevator and it says 6 persons, it means the elevator can carry 6 human-like objects. So up to 6 people can stay there. And the elevator just cares about the weight. It doesn't care about your personality or your character or the things that you love or hate. and if you're married or not. The elevator looks at you as an 80-kilogram object, and it says, yes, I can only carry 6 of these 80-kilogram objects. I apologize. I don't mean to insult all of us on the planet, all 8 billions of us, but the persons is a totally different word than people. So don't use that. You can say individuals, but please refrain from using persons. Would like to go on holiday in their own country as they don't like to spend their money in another country. So we're talking about some opposite view. There are people who believe that, no, in the future, people would like to stay in their own countries and spend money in their own territories. Okay, they assume that it would be better to apply that capital, okay, in their country's tourism industry, which is more useful than other strategies. I need examples here. Is more useful than other strategies. What are those other strategies? What strategies do you mean? Although such a belief, because it's countable, is valuable, it is rejected by the new generation, who would, I guess, like to experience more adventurous life by going on holiday abroad. Abroad is not a place. Abroad is an adverb. All right, yes, we stated the opposite view and we rejected it. However, this is not a good paragraph now, because the topic of the sentence, the topic of this paragraph told me first that, hear me out, we are going to talk about the opposite side. And towards the end, we suddenly appeared and say, ta-da! You guys are wrong. We're right. It's better. Don't ask me why. It's just better. Thank you. Party's over. Go home. You guys are rejected. Go back home. Thank you. That doesn't work here. This is not a good structure. If you are going to write it this way, you need to implement something with a little bit of disagreement inside. Something like, on the other hand, apparently there are some people, or apparently there are still a few people who would like, apparently there are a few people who believe that spending money, in their own territory is beneficial. They say it's because of A and B. Well, A might be, but it's not as good as the way you travel abroad. And B, well, yeah, hypothetically that might be correct, but in many cases, based on this experiment and that experiment, or this experience and that observation, it will never happen. So in the future, the new generation will just basically ignore all of that. That structure would have been a better paragraph than just honestly starting off by saying, yes, there's another opinion, and then you just continue the traditional development, and towards the end you suddenly say, ta-da, and then you ruin the party. Finally, in conclusion, I believe that people would travel abroad on holiday because the price of tickets for such travel can be uncountable, would be low. Okay, the trip cost is low. And accommodation, again, please, abroad is not a noun. And accommodation abroad for travelers will be cheap. Okay, so that we saw those two reasons. Also, some people would like to test the condition of living in another country by visiting it on holiday. While others would like to visit their own country, they won't continue this practice because of rejection by the new generation. Okay, why there? Because we only have one new generation at any given time. I didn't understand this sentence. This sentence's role. What message Also, some people would like to test the condition of living in another country. That's the third reason. I see. So other than the cost, the condition. All right. I assume that this paragraph focuses mostly on things related to money, but towards the end, we also have one sentence that is not necessarily related to money, or it's loosely related to money, or at best, the writer forgot to directly mention that this is connected to money and part of the life condition or the living conditions or lifestyle is money. You know why this happens? When your paragraphs tend to get so beefy and large, we tend to lose control. So towards the end, we also as writers forget what the topic was. And we slowly, completely unknowingly, like we don't know, we just drift from the main path, from the main topic. That's a challenge for many writers. My best advice, focus on smaller, healthier paragraphs instead of a large, giant paragraph. It doesn't show off much, really. It doesn't carry any extra score. You either can control a paragraph or not. That's it. If you can control, you get a score. If you cannot control it, you keep losing the score for paragraphing. All right. Now we have 377 words. For those who do not have a crystal ball, I am going to check the band descriptors. So here they are. Let's see. Number 1, paragraphing wasn't always logical. Two instances I showed you that the information inside the paragraph didn't agree with the topic of that paragraph. I had some transition issues from one sentence to another that I had to go ahead and correct, either punctuation wise, or I had to replace a word, or the subject was repetitive. And the vocabulary, I had some errors. The errors did not affect my understanding, basically. The writer tried to come up with some uncommon or less common vocabulary for the task, but let's just say, for example, abroad, but the writer doesn't know how to use them correctly. And the grammar, in some cases, like that present perfect all of a sudden in the middle, or would have instead of will have, that might confuse and give me an extra unnecessary message, or will be continuing, a present progressive that is, again, not necessary. If you say will continue, that's it. That's the message I want to hear. So basically, there were attempts to write some complex structures, but they were just not that successful. Task response, yes, we talked about the writer's opinion. We even talked about the other people's opinion, but it didn't go very well. We didn't have a lot of examples. We actually didn't have any examples. That's why we saw a lot of overgeneralization. And without further ado, let me say that 6 is a healthy score here. It's a solid 6. This stays at 6. To improve this, there are many things that the writer needs to implement. And the first thing I suggest the writer does is to focus on healthier paragraphs. That's the key. On that note, I hope I will be looking at your beautiful paragraphs later on. Maybe you are going to write and submit an essay or a letter or a report. So I encourage you to please work on your paragraphs. They will be your representatives. I hope I will be assessing yours next. Take care.